And we return with the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And if we pick up where we left off, at the pawnbrokery. And Gina. Hello, Gina. I think we have to go... Yes, talk to you. Look at Mr. Winbank, watching diligently over his shop. There's still so many things I'm curious about. I don't believe that this is a time for browsing, Mr. Naruhodo. We should probably see whether that argument's been resolved yet, I suppose. Oh, how did I not examine you? It's Lestrad's disc. Mr. Winbank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface. This is a music disc, you see, for use inside a music box. In a music box? What? You don't even know what a music box is? You Eastern Lord ain't too savvy, eh? I know what a music box is, I've just never seen one of those discs before. Jeez. Small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played in the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music box, you see. British-made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said that it was... well... Who did? He? Who? Never you mind. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc's worth good money, I know it is. Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you? You've dealt with her before? She's been in it before, of course, the little tatterdemalion. Well, that's a... I see. And brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. Oh, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Ah, a storage ticket. So, Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Girl like me has a lot of stuff needs storing. Alright, yeah, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her. What was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Winbank. The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. The jacket. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So, what about the disc then? How does that come into all this? The disc is something else. A new article to pawn if the girl and I can agree a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Miss Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owned on it, as you say. for this heavy black coat, which you returned to her care, as I'd understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it? Bingo, Susanna. If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, madam. And she immediately tried to pawn it. For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Mr. Lestrade, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. Right? It doesn't really appear to be your size. Me, old man. It's me, old man's, ain't it? Is it Miss Lestrade? Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious. Out of my way, please. Hello there. Who is this picture postcard English gentleman? Dio? Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. What's your problem, eh? There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Hey now. Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line. Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Oh, yeah? Who are you? How do you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker? Yes, sir. I believe this filthy pocket thief has redeemed an article from you. Yes. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh, my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say, any music box discs, too. No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's the old man's. Oh, it was. And now it's mine. You're trying. You're not convincing anyone, but you're trying. Goodness, Mr. Naruhodo. This is a very awkward situation. Yes. I think perhaps you should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Mr. Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying. What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life, I never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now. No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these back slum scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Ugh. In a weird way, she did pay for it, so... Come along now, Mr. Strahd. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Oh, hold on. Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. And you think I'm the dodgy one? I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you. Oh no. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Oh no. Evidence that the article Mr. Strahd redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Of course! We need only consult Mr. Winterbank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh! I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine. But why not? Well, now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. Yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir. Might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's... Professor. Oh. Yes, that's right. And all the evidence we need. The gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. A watchword. Interesting. Well, Gina. Sorry, hun. It's about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. Holmes? Wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? Great detectives have no dark secrets. None at all. Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. Data deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course, then I give the store a ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. If that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir, yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. Wait, so Gina knew the watchword? And I have supplied you with the information you require already. But for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat deposited 2 months ago on 15th February. With the watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There is no further room for doubt. Alright, mister. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Its inhabitants live on some fiery, brown-colored soup, dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else, and what was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yeah. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. My name is Suzaru Nikotoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict. Ah, a very convincing, genuine name. Enchanté. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now to the matter at hand. Stop gesticulating. My overcoat. Return it at once. Someone with the style to carry it off. How did a JoJo character get into Ace Attorney? Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching. Of all the people, I never expected that reference to come from you, Gina. Nice coat. So, let that be an end to the matter. If Gina paid the fee to get it out, she better get her money back. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. This is why I hate grown-ups. It's because I'm a diver. Everyone thinks that makes me a liar. Yeah, I have more questions for you, Windibank. Why'd you even... Gina had to have given him a... watchword. By his own logic. Or else... what the hell was the point of all that? And Gina fucking... He flat out said Gina paid the fee. So should she get her money back? Better have. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. Just this one. Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. Regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, gutterly, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, aren't you? Says who, eh? I don't know nothing about it. Very well. And I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Oh God. What? What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Oh my. Yes, there's blood on this disc. Because of all those sharp little bumps. Man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, all right. I mean, belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Oi, you take it. Me? Why hang on to it? They'll have it off me again. So you keep hold of it. Mr. Strahd, why is this disc so important to her? Alright, music box disc. You there, in the Black Library. Hand that disc to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are all liars. What do I do now? How am I supposed to resolve this? Wow, Mr. Strahd is really looking daggers at that mysterious gentleman. Need to do something to calm things down before she loses control and attacks him again. I blame you for this. Windibank? Mr. Windibank is clearly at a loss here. We have to do something about this before he reaches for that revolver of his. with those piercing eyes. He's clearly in no mood to talk. We have to do something quickly, before this mysterious gentleman leaves to fetch the police or something. The answer is, of course. Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, a 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then why on earth did you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Rather, at my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? This poor Mr. Sholmes. I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us. But you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized, how much could I pawn it for? It seems Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman? What's the right thing to do here? Well, listen to it, obviously. I know the obvious answer, but just this once. I don't know. Mr. Sholmes starts one of his wild, rambling deductions now. Could just fan the flames of this argument. I think it would be sensible to try something else. Mr. Naruhodo, what are you saying? The great detective has made one of his great deductions. He's sure to cut straight to the heart of the matter. That's what I'm worried about. We don't need any more cuts around here. Dear me, you seem decidedly agitated. Clearly, I shall have to take the reins. Yes, please do, Mr. Sholmes. Looks like we're gonna hear this deduction whether I want like it or not. Let's go. Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazes have you been? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away! Not an hour later. Knockout. Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you? Mr. Edgar Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation. One you will orchestrate with the intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? Ow. Turned white as a hard-boiled egg. It seems that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. It's the ends are correct, but it's the means that always prove questionable. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Here we go. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you here to the shop in this first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement for this very shop. Even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. Whoosh, there it goes. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an uncontrovertible contradiction. What a rot! I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. Oh, what? There's an AG on the head. That's interesting. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. Ooh! And yet detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Ah yes, detailed. Therefore there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. Done. Oh, that's a rip. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. The moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. Oh. It's the broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath the premises. Ah yes, of course. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Of course. Nothing wrong with that conclusion whatsoever. Makes perfect sense. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. Suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what will motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. According to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath the shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank on the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, we would gain access to the waterway. That flows in this very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, You devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? Serious. I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. A postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway. And the government has provided extra funds to complete the centerpiece of the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank, on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of what sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top-secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. Bit late for that. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. That'll do it. That will do it. Mr. Sholmes? Huh? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, no few know of its existence. It is one of the most government's closely guarded secrets. Brigson told me, in the strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here. Rather loudly, in fact. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be only one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. What if he didn't know anything at all about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you've revealed the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't. Maybe Mr. Winbank will. He already has plenty of shovels here, after all. Oh, my life! I assure you, I'm not so unscrupulous. Ah, yes, I'm not worried about you, Winbank. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. Yes, this is an information security lesson. Thank you for that, Mr. Sholmes. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. Once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea. Oh then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yeah, listen to that great deduction again, and see if we can massage it into shape. Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Once more with feeling. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent, logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you registered this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is that staff recruitment flyer. This is where things started to go horribly wrong. That's a real dog picture on the... I have a mouse here. Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. I'm just screenshotting that dog. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Can we examine the dog? Can we examine the dog? I want to examine the dog. There it is. There's the dog. Why can't I examine the dog? I want to know whose dog that is. Alright, what are we looking at here? That looks interesting. What does this say? Oh! Look at all the scribbled notes in the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? This is what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade, height 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness! It's even a sketch of her, hat and all. That is a cute sketch. If he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline 15th April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled on the back of the piece of paper? Well, well. Examine your hat. I want to examine your hat. That silk top hat is whiter than white. Only an English gentleman could hope to carry off something so bright. But it looks so incongruous with that black overcoat, don't you think? Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. How about it, Mr. Naruhodo? I think you look very fetching in a white top hat. Well, you know, I think it might look rather incongruous with my black university uniform, so... in more ways than one. What else can we examine? Cane? That's gotta be cane. That's gotta be. It's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not that sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt the cane, Mr. Naruhodo. It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. The sword's a better look, I think. Naruhodo, you could make a cane work, but the sword's a better look. It certainly is a flyer of Mr. Winterbank's shop. Let's see. Winterbank's wants you, pawnbroker's assistant, required. It's an eye-catching advertisement, that's for sure. Seeing the same flyer up here inside the shop, I think. Perhaps Mr. Winterbank is always in need of more staff. Mr. Benedict came here to apply for a job. It's just too hard to believe. Alright, what? Hey. Posing, posy, posy, pose. Let's find this. Oh shit. I forget, what's the button? So it's just riding on the back of a suspicious flyer in the hands of a suspicious gentleman. I didn't think there was anything suspicious about the flyer, Mr. Naruhodo. But yes, Miss Lestrade's name and height, and a description of the clothes she's wearing. Not to mention the sketch of her likeness, which I'm fairly sure she wouldn't take lightly. Today's date, too. Redemption deadline, 15th April. Can't let this go, can we? It's far too suspicious. Okay.
Take that!
Bop. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse side of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade into Mr. Winterbank's pawnbrokery here. Ah! You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Mr. Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie. Gina pout. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here, to Winterbank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. A cane which you unwittingly clutched to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What about a rock? I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, that bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes? Correct. Yes, exactly. Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on the cane. It doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about that cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we didn't know. Alright. Secret about the cane is... I gotta break out the gamer keys. Is your stylish hat. Obviously. As stylish as it no doubt is, I don't think this white top hat suits the man, do you? No, not at all. The more I look at it, the more something strikes me as suspicious about it. I think perhaps it's not so much that it strikes you as suspicious, but it's rather that the hat is just striking. I suppose you're probably right. Perhaps the hat isn't what we're looking for. Can we examine the hat every time? Gamer keys. Alright, how do we shop this crazy thing? Initially. Now this is what we're looking at. Look here, Mr. Sato. There are some letters on the handle. Ah, yes. Those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. The initials on this cane, obviously. Oh. AG. Why does it feel like that's not quite right?
Take that!
You have a horseshoe belt buckle, I just noticed that. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing. Most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Eggert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. Incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're not wrong. You're wrong. This cane isn't. You said before that you'd had that cane for years. Don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. Rip. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? Aye. In your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Mr. Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat. Now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. But we know that he actually identified Mr. Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. The handle was a good lead, but Holmes presented it too late. Oh! But clearly the issue here is gamer keys. That stylish hat. I've been looking closely at this hat for some time now, and it suddenly occurred to me that a bright white top hat like this might just be the hat for me. Get it? You like it, don't you? I think I do, don't I? Well, in that case, you could see if there isn't something similar among Mr. Winnebank's forfeited items. After we've concluded our investigation, we must focus on the task in hand at the moment. It's beautiful. I'm so glad there's a series of conversations for that. I want to examine your belt buckle. Your belt buckle's radical, dude. Okay, there's really much to see here other than gamer keys. This. Oh, the seam of the shoulder there is coming apart. Look. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. Now I think it was probably the sound of this seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If you were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry? So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? She's really giving this some thought. Yeah. Fair enough.
Take that!
He knows he fucked up, and he tried to hide it. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see? Ah. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah! This catalogue of untruth has all been for one very specific purpose. Steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Winnebank. Ah! So the resolution has to be that Gina had the word, and he overheard it somehow. But what really irks me is this. A considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Yeah. So this second deduction is going to completely change. Abscond with redeemed item. This is going to go in an entirely new direction now. It has to. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. We must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Gesticulation? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let's consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. The method is revealed by the counter notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. He's sticking to that, but the direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunnelling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Yeah. No, Ryunosuke would love heist movies. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Winnebank would never allow you to redeem the article. No one's asked why he'd redeemed the article for Gina without the watchword, unless she had the watchword. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Winterbank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. The question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Let's read this council notice that Holmes was so interested in. Baker Street Works is the title. Yes, it does mention sewerage works, Mr. Sholmes said. Oh. Specifically mentions that tonight's sale at the confectionery shop in the corner won't be affected. Case solving first, confectionery later, Mr. Naruhodo. Curse my overly expressive face. Let's see, are you here, Egg? You're not here, Egg. Dog? Let me examine the dog, game. I want to examine the dog. Doggo is here, and I want to examine him. It's an old lamp, obviously. Oh, cat, too. This looks to be quite an old lamp. But it's obviously been well looked after. There's oil in it, too. In other words, it's still in use. Yes, it would appear so. As for how it could be related to Mr. Benedict knowing the watchword of the pawned article, I have no idea. That makes two of us. I want to get a good screenshot of this cat. Where's cat? Cat. Gun? Oh, wait. Zoomed in. It's Mr. Winterbank's gun. Yes, loaded with only one bullet, he said. It would appear that being a pawnbroker is a very life-or-death profession. That might just be this particular establishment. Cat? Why can't I examine cat? It's a big book here. I gotta break out the gamer keys. Notelet. Look at this, Mrs. Allen. It appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbank has scribbled to himself. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Winterbank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. An alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear. I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? Well?
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Ah yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword, and notes down the response uttered on the notelet that he has in hand. He consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Winterbank. The diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice. You observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go through such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But Naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Let me present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. What do we do here? The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets. Which, according to Mr. Windenbank, isn't even worth a penny. Yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo? Could we? Really? We better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Which is 2 pieces. If it would be anything, it's this. Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yeah, the protrusions are called pins. They plug the teeth of the comb to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict. When Mr. Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. When you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger... Ow, just thinking about it hurts. It puts me off eating radish. Oh! Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck on the reverse side of the disc. Look! A scribbled word or two. Looks like somebody's name. Vermagilded. Hello there. Magilded? It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? Interesting.
Take that!
You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that? On the back. It reads, for Magilded. Ugh. Mr. Magnus Magilded. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his load-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. Magilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you squeezed yourself into. Ah. Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Egbert Benedict. The final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus Magilded. Got him. But this is an interesting angle. I think we were just going out of here on a whim to help cure Mr. Sholmes's lonely depression. Well, well, Mr. Magnus Magilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling upon my mind. Pray tell, Miss Susato. Well, according to what Mr. Windenbank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Today's the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today. It would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th February. It's precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening. Precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at the liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However... Oh, I must insist you hand over the music box disc. Now.